and hopefully you will join me for our. So yeah, hopefully you will join me for today. So I decided not to post our usual interviews, but to discuss what's going on, and especially now after Putin had big traditional big conference, and we will see what's happening here. So he vows no more wars if negotiations go in successfully. Do you believe Putin? Do you think he's going to do it? And or shall we just remind how many wars he has already started? And he started with his own country, I mean Russia, and he never been elected because he was appointed by President Yeltsin, and then there was the terrorist attacks on his own people, and there was another war with Chechnya. That is how he started. And through all the blood, violence, terrorism, he came to power, and he's always been doing it. And then Georgia was in 2008, and Ukraine 2014. Oh, hello, Trishka. And then it was the war in, so when Crimea was annexed and invasion to the east. So can we trust him? Of course not. And the military elite, they know, the intelligence know, it's only one of the steps he's planning to do. Good morning, Trishka. Go on, guys, join us for live, and yeah, and we'll have a chat about Christmas. Trishka, have you watched or have you read about Putin's conference? You know, it's usually televised and things he discussed. And for me personally, when I listened to it and I read about it, I was shocked how he doesn't own the violence, the deaths, the grief he caused by invasion, by all of it, invading Ukraine and committing all those things and giving the orders to his army. And he doesn't own it. He says that there was response and he was saving. If you follow in the news quite some time, you remember that 2014 he was one of those. He was he was the person who's saying he's coming to save Russian speakers. So now we know how dangerous to speak Russian, because Putin might come to see you and come to save you. So what do you think, Trishka, about his address to the nation? And for me personally, it was I felt quite disgusted, because the person, he doesn't really care about any of the losses. His own people, Ukrainians, fine for him. The towns he destroyed, the lives he destroyed, children suffered, children who were injured, children who were killed, children who were kidnapped and forcefully moved to Russia, and their life can been destroyed basically. No responsibility whatsoever. And it feels like he's enjoying it. He lives his best life. And I don't think he's gonna stop. He doesn't feel the outcomes of war. He doesn't feel what war is about. He will carry on, unfortunately. I have a feeling that he will progress if Ukraine gonna be betrayed and Ukraine gonna give him up for everything he's asking. He will progress, and I'm afraid it's gonna be Baltics, Poland, maybe even Finland. Hello everyone, hello who is joining. So that's the thing. And just before our live today, you know, those who quite some time on the on my podcast channel, you know, right now we're going through the series of interviews with children whose life been transferred by the war, who's been destroyed by the war. So I gave the platform for children to speak for themselves. So they share with us how they went through occupation, how they been suffering, how they felt. Like one of the girls, Lisa, she lived in Kherson region, and she went through this flood when Russian exploded the Kakhovka Dam, and she was saying how the people were dying, pets were dying, how they were trying to save the produce. So all those things, it's quite difficult, and for those people or teenagers who were 14, 15, 16, it's just impossible, isn't it? And so just before our live, I was watching the documentary about people, women particularly, from occupation, who were helping Russia army, who were giving them the Ukrainian army positions, who were supplying them warm socks, some food, and keeping them updated. Those, as in Ukraine they say, ждуны, so people who are waiting for Russia or support Russia. Of course, there's very little number of them, the traitors, but they exist. And for me, there was revelation. The adults are quite old or quite mature, let's say, middle-aged and older, and they don't realize what they've done and how they betrayed their country. And given the positions of army, positions of Ukrainian army, they might be responsible for deaths when when Russia attacked it. So it's quite shocking. Even going through trial, being in a prison. So you have time to reflect, you have time to think, and they still don't realize what's happening. So it was quite shocking, and so it's unbelievable. I know we're all going through Christmas, we're preparing. I don't know, are you in Christmas mood? I don't know if Johnny's here, finally here. Last week he mentioned that he was looking for this formation of the fighter jets, which usually fly in Norway and in Sweden, I think Finland, Denmark. So they there was the flying formation, and they this week it happened. It was beautiful. Before, I haven't paid attention. So are you in Christmas mode? Are you happy and prepared and all the presents wrapped up? So please let me know. Hello, Andy. Hello, thank you for joining us. And if you remember, not the last visit, President Zelensky was in London, the one before I was lucky to be in, and they were announcing that by Christmas they will make a decision for Ukraine's money. So European Union is gonna grant Ukraine money. So before the Russian assets, they will have the access. Ukraine will have access to frozen Russian assets. So I think it's quite a good thing, isn't it? And so what's your plan for Christmas, and how are you gonna celebrate Christmas? And is anybody going to Ukraine or in Ukraine these days? I know there's nightmare happening on the border, so please please share me, Trishka. Saying it is hard to feel Christmas spirit with the way things are in the world. I absolutely agree with you. It's quite depressing, isn't it? But we've got to believe in better, and we've got to carry on and find the positivity, the strength, the optimism in everything, because you know, I believe in happy ends. I believe in fairy tales, and the good things always win. And Ukraine went quite through dramatic as a country, many times Ukraine been betrayed or left out, even, just many didn't believe in Ukraine. And if that was the case, Ukraine wouldn't exist as a country, as a nation, as a cultural so it's sort of motion as a, and I think it would be, but we're still there, and Ukraine's still fighting, and there's a lot of Ukraine has to offer and to inspire the outside world. I'm just trying to find interesting thing which just happened. I don't know if you're following the interview for Susie Wiles and what she said, and it's a big scandal to Vanity Fair, and those portraits, the faces of Trump's team. I have to, oh, hello Denmark, hello, hi. And I think it's more important. So yeah, so if you haven't followed, please Google major takeaways from Susie Wiles, where she talks about Trump, Elon Musk, and obviously about his drug addiction. And they had conflict, Susie and Elon Musk. And interesting about the Donald Trump, she said that he has the personality of alcoholic. And as a mature woman, and the woman who basically brought Trump to White House, she knows what she's talking about. But the most, not sort of exciting, but curious thing, do you remember on the podcast, we quite some time we were talking about the, Trump has a special strategy. Trump, he knows what he's doing. There's a special, he's such a successful businessman, or Trump doesn't get what Putin's doing, or Trump has something. Basically, Trump very much aware, and his team definitely aware, that Putin is not going to stop. Putin is going to carry on, and they understand how difficult Ukraine's position. And Susie Wiles was saying about that. Do you remember the meeting, the scandal we had in the Oval Office when President Zelensky stormed out the room, and she said the only thing she would change was take away the cameras. But otherwise, nothing could be changed, because she understands the one side, the other side, and having experience in politics. That's how it would happen, isn't it? And I suspect the timing of this interview and things she said, it doesn't matter that later she regretted or accused a journalist of doing the wrong thing, or that's not what she meant. It's very important, as an experienced political expert, who she is, or politician, it's quite good timing. I think the people in Trump's team who are trying to make things in Ukraine's favor, they're doing their bit by the tools and means they have. Okay, so Trishka saying, and I have neither Trump nor Putin have the understanding of the reality and what's happening in the war. I'm afraid they do. Good morning, Robert. I'm afraid they do. But they have own interest. Putin wants to be in history as this. Well, he's gathering the historically Russian territories. Well, we'll see how it's going. And minding his age, it's probably on his last leg. It's the last thing he can do in this world. But I'm wondering, if he solved the puzzle, who's going to be his successor? So that's the question, isn't it? The problem the problem with Trump is he is focused on profits, yes, and he would sell his grandma for money. I also, I was listening to former Putin's advisor, now he's in the US, and he said that, so if Trump delivers Ukraine to Putin, he will get half of the frozen assets. It's 150 billion, isn't it? So is it the price for Ukraine for Trump? We'll see. We'll see. Good morning, John. And just saying, stay at home, making typical Swedish Christmas food. Aha, like someone said, hard with the Christmas food these days, knowing so many people suffer. So what's typical food for Christmas in Sweden, Denmark, Norway? Is there something similar, or each country has different ones? Because in the UK, obviously, there's turkey, not the most favorite food, and as the British say, turkey only for Christmas because it's quite dry meat. In Ukraine, we have 12 dishes. There was the time when I would cook the Ukrainian Christmas dinner, the British Christmas dinner. Sometimes we would be taking turns who's cooking the Christmas dinner, but not sure about this year. I still think I still have time. So yeah, it's quite difficult with the Christmas spirit this year. I think we have to manage two Grinches. We have the Putin Grinch and Trump Grinch, and we still have to win, don't we? They're not gonna steal our Christmas or our joy. And Svetvechir, yeah, Trishka, are you doing the old style or the new style? Because Ukraine, I just explained for the rest, Ukraine recently been on the legislative level, moved its Christmas, not on the 7th January as we used to, as I was growing up doing, but on the 25th of December with the whole civilized world. So how do you do this? Do you separate, and how do you do St. Nicholas Day? Do you celebrate on 19th old style or the 6th of December? In Denmark, it is dark or roast pork. With ordinary potatoes, caramelized potatoes, red cabbage, apples, brown gravy we eat for Christmas. How interesting. And it says, Jenny, typical Swedish Christmas food is ham. You make in the oven. Beetroot salad. Wow, cold and warm smoked salmon. Meatballs. Oh, Swedish meatballs. Special sausage. And the spare ribs. It's quite meaty, isn't it? I hope at least one of you having white Christmas this year, because anywhere I checked, even in Ukraine, even in Bukovel, which is famous Ukrainian luxury ski resort, they have only fake snow. There is no snow in the mountains, so it's quite upsetting. Hopefully it will change again. We still have few days. Yeah, meatballs. IKEA has bought Sweden. I still have in the freezer. We always restock our meatballs because it's so delicious. It's just irresistible. And I don't believe in any recipes they, on Instagram or they say, IKEA homemade meatballs now. Swedish homemade meatballs. I believe only in IKEA ones, the most delicious. Trishka says, celebrate 3 times Christmas. New Year and Christmas, yeah, so the old style. Yeah, makes sense, a bit sort of differ, because with Ukrainian 12 dishes, it's just mission impossible, isn't it? To digest. And Ukraine is not just, Ukrainian Christmas, not just about food, it's also about rituals and all of that. And bringing dinner, we have such thing as on the Christmas Eve as bringing dinner to your godparents. That was the most delicious and the most exciting thing, because as a child I would go to, in Ukraine we have quite big number of godparents per one child. So all evening the child just go in with some goodies and saying, my parents ask you for dinner and I'm asking you, and they having a bit of dinner and giving presents and money. So it's quite festive time for children, and having all of this together with the West sort of on the 25th of December, it's quite overwhelming. So yeah, it would make sense. Trishka, rendezvous. No snow here in mid-Sweden. We had snow for a couple of days, like 3 weeks ago. Lucky you! Lucky you. In Sweden, we have a lot of different herring. Oh, herring. Well, in Ukraine, we do shuba, isn't it? From the Soviet time. There's a special salad with mayo, vegetables, and mayo, vegetables, and egg. I was just recently having friends for Ukrainian lunch, and I was making the herring salad, and it was quite successful because the husband of my friend, he moved from Denmark in quite a young age, so all those tastes with rye bread and herring and pickles, all of that, it's for them tastes the taste of childhood, so it was quite successful. What is it? Janssen temptation. Oh, so I think if you're watching our interviews with children, we have a few to carry on, and one of them, hopefully, he has quite an incredible story, and it's related to Crimea and the challenges the young man is going through, which army to go, the Russian army or the Ukrainian army. And this young man will tell us in the interview how he made the choice and what kind of challenges he went through. And so do you think, according to the views, the children's story are not the big interest, and I understand that, and I knew that before starting the series, and that's just the case, because on one hand, the interview with General Hodges, whom I love dearly, and it's an honor to have him on the podcast, can bring in 50,000 views. And interview with a child who survived occupation and managed back to Ukraine has 100 views, and it's still okay. It's upsetting. It's not, as a journalist or as a content maker, you would hope for. But I noticed every time when the children's topic, it attracts less interest. But I think it's one of those key topics which will be used at the end of the war, and Putin particularly will use to save himself from prison or being executed, and all of them. I'll tell more about it in my summary about children and their role in this war, and what they suffered and how they've been used. If you watched any interviews with children, please let me know what you think, and we will see and carry on. And also, please leave in the comments the topics you would be interested to be covered, and we'll see what we can do about it. So I think I'm gonna say have a good day, have a very Merry Christmas, and lots of good news for all of us, and hope for good health and lots of good things for you and for people you love and care. Take care. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Bye.